and I'm going to make the most of it. I mean, when we talked last year, Nick, I thought I was dying. Like, I thought I was physically dying every single day. That's why I wrote Better Vision about.
You are now listening to I Might Go to the Beach.
Sunlight spills through a window. Dust above the bed shakes the dust out of my head. And I'm back again. Back in time, back in mind. To a place I don't know how I got there.
I don't want to finish anything. It's much more exciting to plan. So like I'm already planning what I want to do for the next one before I even, like finish it.
Oh, definitely. I mean, so when I write an album, it's like I'll spend a concentrated amount of time, and it's like, this is what I'm doing right now. I am writing for this thing. You know what I mean? And as I'm writing for this thing, it's like that's all I'm thinking about. But as I get 3, 4, 5, 6, however many songs into it, the brain starts drifting a little bit, and it starts going, these are cool, but the next one, Yeah. And it's like, and I keep thinking about, because I work, like patterns and themes, both, sonically, instrumentally, but also lyrically,
sure,
or whatever. So like once I'm halfway through, it's like I got to finish that loop. You know what I mean? It's like the idea of like the closed loop. And so and so it's like, okay, so I'm this far into it, and this is what this thing is about. But maybe I wrote like a riff. I hate say I'm not really I don't consider myself a guitar player. So when I say I wrote a riff, I think that's what you're supposed to call it, but in my head,
it's like a part.
Right, yeah. I wrote a guitar part, and so like I'll stumble upon a guitar part that's not like the other ones, and I kind of go, well, I don't think that fits, but man, I could write an entire other album going off that one tiny idea. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for me, it's related to disappointment in. It's like we were talking about with vocals. It's like there's what I want in my head. And then you record it, and it's good, but it's like not exactly. And the more it becomes complete, the less it becomes ideal. Mm-hmm. And I think as I'm coming to that awareness, I just want to go to the fantasy next project because that's the ideal.
Yeah,
like that's perfect in my head.
Yeah, totally. So I mean, this right now where I'm at is the first time in, my life that I've ever been doing music full time.
Yeah.
Which it still feels strange to say that, because to me it's like, once this tour is over, it's like, oh, that's kind of like the summer's over, and then it's time to go back to school, time to go back to working. But I graduated college, and I don't have a job. I substitute teach. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like, here I am, and this is what I'm doing.
Before we get too deep, I am Nick Jackson, and I am with Jack Senff.
Jack Senff, that's me.
Thank you for joining me in this very hot, small apartment.
Yeah, of course.
Is it scary going back home, that idea?
No. So going home for us was like, it was totally right. We lived in Washington for 5 years, Seattle for a year, Olympia for 4, and then I graduated college, and it was like, we're either going to stay here and like this is it. I mean, not this is it, but we're here for a while, because my fiance, my current fiance, soon to be wife, hopefully, as long as nothing happens, and my longtime girlfriend and partner,
and IT support here in my apartment.
IT
fixing
support,
my broken television.
She worked at a toy store, like a hipster, like a real hip, bougie, nice toy store in Olympia. And she was like the store floor manager. I don't really know her exact title, but she did everything. She was doing the Instagram, the Facebook. She was event planning, and she was making pretty good money, and I was making no money. I was like on the student loan grind for 4 years, so we lived well, but it was like fake. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Like her half of the money was real, definitely, because she worked. I watched it. She was 40, 50 hours a week at the toy store, and I was sitting in the woods around a table, circle jerking about art. You know what I mean? And it was just, I don't know. And so anyway, so all that kind of came to an end, and it was like, well, what are we going to do? And I'd made the conscious decision to be Boy Rex, I guess, be a musician. a year or so before that, and so we'd been talking about it, kind of like, how does it work, Jack playing music all the time, and what is Em gonna do? Because like, I mean, she's an artist and an illustrator, which we can talk about in a second, but at the time it was like, she had a side business, but she was the manager at a toy store, you know what I mean? And so for her, it was like, what, does she want to give up her security, so that we can kind of dive headfirst into the gray, murky, who the fuck knows what's going to happen, you know what I mean? And so going home represented a path to that gray, murky, unknown, but a little bit safer, you know what I mean? It was like a diving board that you knew you wouldn't die if you jumped off of, because we moved to Michigan, which is where she's from, and I come from South Bend, Indiana, which is only 4 hours from where we live now, and that's a whole hell of a lot closer than fucking Washington. Yeah, so
it's a weird thing about getting older in relationships. Like when you're younger, the problems in your relationship are so superficial.
They're super, and it's more like. What's the word? Like almost like passion based. They're like, it's like you get
emotional. They're based on nothing in hindsight.
Right.
But when you're older, it's like problems are very much that. Like somebody has a paycheck and another person has something that takes them away. I mean, it's like this, it's like an actual problem that there's no real perfect solution. It's like you actually have to compromise and like figure out that.
Right. And
there's no great answer for that.
There isn't. But our answer was, she quit her job and she said, I'm going to be Em Randall, the illustrator and the graphic designer and the, handmade artist. And she hasn't had a quote real job in a year and a couple months now, since I guess April of last year.
So you're both doing it.
Yeah, we're both doing it.
Does that make it easier, or do you think it'd be easier if one person had like a steady, like?
Well, yeah. I mean, if she or I, if one of us was like bringing in the bucks, that would be tight. I mean, that would be cool, because then like.
But you couldn't go on tour together and stuff.
Right. Exactly. It's like the trade off. I think is worth it. I mean, before we left, I mean, it was hard. It was like we were thinking about food stamps. You know what I mean? Like at 26, like that's hard. I mean, we had food stamps when we moved to Seattle, but we were also children. We were 18, 19 years old, and so it was like. At the time, it made sense. It was like, okay, we're going to get help wherever the hell we can. Neither of us come from money. You know what I mean? My dad's fine, but he couldn't pay for me and my apartment. You know what I mean? Stuff like that. Like a lot, I know a lot of people who like are blessed, are fortunate enough, privileged enough to come from money. And that's awesome, but that's not us. So it's like everything that we've done has been on our shoulders. Right. So we moved home last year, and it was, I got a job. I became a substitute teacher. I started.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I started after our conversation.
Yeah.
So when
that was like exactly a year ago. It's pretty bizarre.
I know.
Almost down to the day.
I know. It's like
maybe
like
a week off.
Meant
or something.
To be.
Yeah.
But yeah, when last we spoke, I just graduated like a week before or something like that. Like the end of that chapter of my life had just come to a close in one day. And there I was trying to figure out, like, okay, what am I going to do?
Yeah.
And so what I did was I went home and I went on another pretty unfortunate tour with Boy Rex, and we were with a band called Jank at the time. And if you want to talk about that, we can, or I can just leave it at, it was an unfortunate tour.
Yeah, I don't know.
It was kind of a rough tour, but
yeah.
And it was a tour that made me go like, oh no, like what if I made a mistake? You know what I mean? Because the shows were just not good. Like
what?
Like, okay, so
we don't have to. I don't like getting into like. Well, we can do whatever.
No, what don't you like getting into?
I don't know, a certain realm of negativity.
No, it wasn't negative because ultimately it was. I mean, it was positive in the sense that like it made me just want to work harder. You know what I mean? It's like we went on tour with this band called Jank. They're no longer a band, but at the time they're kind of blowing up. You know, like they were sort of a hype internet band that was translating into a hype live band. And so every show we'd roll up and it would be like a whole group of like a lot of people there to see Jank and no one really there to see Boy Rex, which is fine. I don't care about that, but it was just my music at the time and their music it it meshed, like it worked. Like as people, we were great, and in theory, it should have been fine. But it was like they were like hype kids coming to sing along and get sweaty, and I was like, kind of trudging along, hitting falsetto notes, and like, you know what I mean. And so
a
it was
little
just
more delicate,
right? And so it'd be kind of like, people were there, and they would watch me, and they'd be like, okay, like they'd clap, but it was like, all right, get the fuck off. We want to watch jank. You know what I mean?
Wow, yeah.
And that was rough for me because, I took a lot of time like putting together my band. It was like some of my best friends.
Oh, you were playing a full band?
Oh yeah, totally.
Oh, okay.
This was a full band thing. And it was like, we even like kind of translated the songs to be a little bigger, a little more exciting. And, I worked really hard. I printed like a lot of merch, and like, I had this whole cohesive merch spread. I had like designs, like shirt designs and postcards, and it all synced up. And then no one bought anything. And and like, yeah. And so it was like, again, it was just kind of like, I went on it, and it was just like, oh my, like, holy shit. Like I just left everything that made sense to be Boy Rex, and it's not working out. And, I'm not a kid anymore, so it wasn't like an instantaneous, like, oh, I got to quit, fuck this. It was more like this, like every day, like this dread kind of like, and then our van broke down outside of Texas, and we had to get towed to our show. We thought it was like a day, you know what I mean? Like, okay, we're going to miss a day or something, but we ended up having to cancel like the last week and a half of the tour.
Oh no.
And we were like trapped in Denton, Texas for 3 days. And we stayed at a Best Western every night. And like,
just losing money.
Oh yeah. I mean, my grandpa paid for the hotel. I mean, shit that's like, really, it's not embarrassing, but it at the time it was just like, it was so disheartening,
Yeah.
And so
welcome to the real world.
Yeah, exactly. It was, like 4 years of like, like Em and I went to Japan, and we went to the UK, and, all off like her hard work and my taking out student loans. And I mean, I had a job there too, but it was peanuts, and I worked part-time as a server at a restaurant.
Yeah.
So, we'd had this like, it sucks that it comes back to money, but I mean, we live in
for sure. Yeah.
Right. So it's like for the first time in years, I did not have money in the bank to do anything. And so, yeah, it's like, hey, Dunk, my grandpa, like, can I put a hotel on the credit card? You know what I mean? And like,
wow.
Yeah, and it was heavy. And so the van got fixed. Days later, our bass player had flown home. Like, so, you know what I mean? It was like, I watched my band crumble, and I watched the morale sink. And then we had to drive like 15 hours home. I hemorrhaged money.
And it's like your thing too.
Oh,
right?
That's the thing. It's like, to them, they were helping me out.
Yeah.
It was a fun way for them to like see a different part of the country. For me, it was like, wow, this is what I'm doing.
It's a weird thing, right?
Yeah. And
you're almost like an employer.
Exactly.
Yeah. I had that experience. Oh. Yeah. It's a very weird thing.
See, there's a lot of pros and cons. It's like the pros, and the reason why I think it's a great model is because, it's a democracy of one. I can do anything I want. I've spent a lot of times in bands, and nowadays it's about, group messages, group text message and shit. But at the time it was like, you still get together, but you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
2017, it's all, there's the band group message, group text, or whatever. But, you get together, you talk about, hey, I want to do this shirt design, or hey, I want to do this show, or hey, let's write this song. And then you have 4 to 5 to however many other voices that go, hey, I want to do this shirt design. Hey, and a lot of times that shit doesn't mesh up,
Yeah.
And so
your messaging, like, it's like right now you can make it exactly what I want it.
Exactly. It's whatever's in my head, I'm going to do. Yeah. Boy Rex is me, 100%.
That's the downside of it too.
Yeah, exactly.
Like when shit goes bad, people are like, oh, I'm done.
Right. It's all on me.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm fortunate enough to be with Em, who's also an illustrator and an artist. And so, I mean, we're kind of in this together, So it's like, yes, Boy Rex is all me, but I also have my best friend to like bounce everything off of, sometimes to her chagrin or whatever, Hey, Em, what about this part? How about this part? And to her, I mean, a lot of times they all kind of sound the same. To me, it's like, I hear everything. It's like, oh, but the drums do this, and the vocals are going to do this. And she kind of smiles and nods her head and goes, well, you'll figure it out, But you can apply that little example to like everything, big and small, What did it look like when you finally got back from Texas?
Rough.
I mean, Em was stationed at her mom's house that summer, like while I was on tour, because it was like free rent.
Yeah. post college. That's what you do.
No, it wasn't like a struggle thing. It was like she wants to spend some time with her mom.
The Garden State stuff.
Yeah, actually. And so I came home and we stayed. Her name's Peggy. That's our mom. We stayed at Peggy's for a couple weeks, and then it was time to find a place. And so we drove to a couple different, small towns, trying to figure out like where do we want to go. Comes back to fucking money. It was like there's one place called Manistee, which would have been a quarter of the rent we pay now, or it was Traverse City, which is where we ended up going, and that's like expensive, But Traverse City is also like a cultural hub. There's food there, there's coffee, there's good people, there's a really great like LGBTQ community. You know what I mean? It's like
there's music,
right? There's music. I mean, it's like in northern Michigan is beautiful, but a lot of it is. It's kind of backwater. You know what I mean? It's like
I don't know anything about any of these places you just named.
Okay, well,
it's weird.
I mean, Traverse City's tiny. It's like 15,000, but it's known as the cherry capital of the.
Okay,
so every year there's this festival called Cherry Fest, and it brings thousands of people to Traverse City. I mean, Traverse City itself is like a cute like vacation town. I mean, it's like where like your family would go for vacation as a kid, and you would hate it, except as an adult, it's awesome. You know what I mean? It's beautiful. And but the way that the economy, stays up and what kind of feeds it and makes it what it is this like, well, the summer in general, but this 1 week block called Cherry Fest, where like, I mean, the worst people in the world flood the cities, and there's like air shows, and like the other night, REO Speedwagon played. And so
that's where you ended up.
That's where I ended up, which that wasn't a good way to introduce it. I mean, it really is a beautiful place. Yeah. And we moved there, our apartment's not quite so much, but at the time it was like a little above our means. Especially with Em getting her feet wet in the art world, me not having anything stable. Luckily I had that $60,000 college degree that let me go become a substitute teacher.
Did you? What were you thinking about music at that time?
Oh, I was 100% thinking about Boy Rex and the next album.
Oh, already.
Okay. I started writing the next. So I can't rest on my laurels. Like most bands,
I'm gonna take your photo.
Oh, please.
If that's okay.
No, that's fine.
Live.
That's fine. Most people and most bands seem to write an album and then they just sit on it, and then it comes out and they play it, and it's like the time between albums is like immense. I mean, to me in my timeline, it's immense, like years.
Yeah. Well, I guess
months.
It depends.
I know it's totally dependent, but I'm just saying like people I know, bands I like. Yeah, it takes a long time. Yeah. I wrote the first Boy Rex album, The Blood Months. I recorded it all within a week or whatever, and I took a day off, and I woke up and it was like, all right, it's time to start writing. You know what I mean?
Wow. You didn't, even after all that fucked up stuff.
Oh yeah.
You didn't think maybe just fuck this. I'm going to go.
No, it just made me want to do it more. Because 2 years ago, I was on tour with this project I have called NOLA. You know about NOLA. I think we probably talked about NOLA.
I wanted to talk about it because it was the last time we talked, the record hadn't come out.
Oh yeah, it hadn't. Oh, that's weird. That's so bizarre. Because to me, I haven't seen Joey. I mean, I've seen them both independently. But
let's get in. I wrote a note to talk about it. I won't forget.
Anyway, with I was on tour with NOLA, and I was about to start my senior year at college, and I sat on a porch with one of my best friends, Kyle Wayne. Hey Kyle, if you're listening. And I looked at him and I said something to the effect of like, this is what I want to do. You know what I mean? It was like a light switch had gone off with, some cliche. It's like, it was like, boom, I'm going to play music. And ever since then, it just hasn't died. Like that thing, every day I wake up and it's all I want to do, And so the only way to do it is to write and to play. And now I'm at the stage where that's all I do is I'm playing music.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? It's like, I'm on tour till the end of September.
What's personally interesting to me, like I can't help but like do like a what would I do type thing. Mm-hmm. And if I had that kind of disappointing tour where, like people weren't feeling it and all their bad stuff wasn't happening, I think I would have, even if I had chosen to keep doing it, I think I maybe would have went a different, okay, this wasn't working, maybe a new thing.
Right. I mean, some of that happened. I mean, it was, like I said, it was ultimately a positive experience because it showed me that I wanted to write slightly poppier songs. I wanted to write things that were like my whole MO, I think, is that I want to write accessible music that has integrity, right? So like I think that you can write a killer radio pop song that doesn't pander, that isn't that doesn't like rely on bullshit cliches. You know what I mean? Like, and I like some radio. So I mean, I'm not like the guy who's too cool for like popular music. I mean, I like a lot of popular music, but I just think you can do it in a smart way, right?
Sure.
And so my first album, The Blood Months, is it's slower. It's more like cerebral a little bit, not like intelligent. I just mean like, I don't know, it just gets kind of, it just kind of does.
It's delicate. I used that word earlier.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah,
it's more delicate. And Better Vision, the one that just came out, is a direct result of that horrible tour I went on, because I watched Jank kill it every night playing like fun music, right? Yeah. And it was like,
pop punk will always be like, as long as guitar music is a thing, I just feel like pop punk, I know people have different genre stuff, but basically, pop punk type stuff, like, it's just so inherently,
it's catchy.
You get it.
Right.
And it's like you get to jump around. 19-year-olds will really like it.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, when I was younger, I mean, like there's a whole world of like the DIY punk, screamo, emo, like I mean, yes, that's like my identity, but I definitely started with like Newfound Glory, Yellow Card. You know what I mean?
I just saw the singer at the Apple store like 2 weeks ago.
Really?
I talked about it here. Yeah.
Oh, that's so fun.
I was just standing right next to, like, we were, you know how they have the laptop set up?
Yeah.
And I was just like on this one, and he was right there.
Jordan Putnick or whatever?
I don't know his name, but
From Newfound Glory?
Yeah. With the hair up.
Oh man,
he looked great. I bet he did. I mean, he's like in better shape now.
I don't know. I have a friend who's talked to me about, but Newfound Glory has found a way of like fitting in with every generation of pop punk music that comes up. Like Newfound Glory has, to me, I haven't listened to them in a long time.
Sure.
But it's like apparently they've stayed relevant for years and years, and they are still, when they play, people still give a shit. Like any tour that it's like people are like.
Do you think it's young people? I assume it's people my age.
No,
and your
it's
age.
mostly younger people. Like I have a really good friend who plays in the band Knuckle Puck, who they're like a big modern day pop punk band.
Okay.
I've been to a couple of Yanni's shows, and they're peopled by like real young kids.
Yeah.
And it's like that's a funny thing, because as a kid I loved that kind of music. I loved it. I knew all the words, the melodies, and in some ways that probably has shaped the music I make to some degree.
For sure.
But now I go to that show and it's like I'm going to see my friend John. I'm not really going to watch my friend John's band. Does that make sense?
Well, yeah, things are so, especially now, things are so specific. Like we were talking about, I won't go on because I don't like just shitting on stuff. But it's like just stuff, it's not even that it's good or bad, it's just not for you. And stuff now is so specific that I think there's just a very narrow band of stuff that's for you.
Yeah.
That like you even have the chance of liking.
And that's interesting because at the show last night, like after you left, this person came up and she asked me about a band. I'm not going to name names. And I just, I'm pretty good at like being partisan about shit and just being like, oh, and I'll try to say like the positive thing that I know. But Jack the Human sometimes has like, what do they call hot takes? Just like quick opinions. And like, I don't know, I was tired. It was been a long day. And she goes, how do you feel about this band? And I just said, I think they suck, or something. It was a little more articulate than that, but it was like to that degree. And I kind of like laugh about it. And she goes, well, they're some of my really good friends. And it was like, and I had to backpedal, and I was like,
people set you up.
And she was super cool about it. We ended up talking about, and she shared some of the same opinions I did, even though they're her friends. And like, it was fine, but it made me think about it. And I said something to this effect to them. And it's like, I just don't like some things, but that's okay.
Yeah.
Her friend, she had a friend with her, and he was like, well, is it better to talk shit about someone as a person or like their music? I don't know if he was like trying to be deep. I don't really, and so I answered it. I said, well, I think it's okay to talk shit about someone's music because that's what it is. It's art. You can be critical about it, and there can be some objectivity. I mean, it's all subjective, right?
Yeah.
But it's like you can listen to a band and go, here's what they're doing, and this is what I don't like about it. You know what I mean? But whereas with a person, that's kind of nebulous because you don't know everybody's story. You know what I mean?
I think it's kind of well. I'm in this weird position because in my life I was so incredibly negative, like to my complete detriment. Like I didn't realize, not that I was in like the best bands ever, but like what any small hope of like being in a band that people liked, I just completely ruined by just completely I mean, just I didn't understand.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just hated, probably because I hated myself at 17 or whatever. So
Yeah,
I just
totally.
hated everybody.
Yeah.
And now I realize just how completely wrong about most stuff I was, and it makes me wonder, like, maybe I don't know. I think it's more that it's just not for everybody.
Yeah.
I mean, of course there's bad stuff, but it's like,
Well,
I don't know.
it's interesting when you're in a position, like in a, like, not position of power. What's the word? Like when you're in a band, right? You're different than just the listener, because, you know, some of the people that you talk about or that you may have a strong opinion about are like your peers.
Sure.
Or your contemporaries or whatever word you want to use.
or you might get it a little bit more because you play music.
Yeah, that's true.
It's like, I don't know about art stuff. I'm just, I can say like, oh, that's a pretty photo, but I don't understand composition or anything.
That's true. I guess music's what I want to do. It's what I believe in, and it's what I think about all the time.
Yeah.
And so I don't think I'm an authority of any sense. But when someone asks me about a band, 9 times out of 10, I want to tell you
You're
how I actually
opinionated.
feel, because I think it's important. Also, I just think it's important to have opinions.
Yeah.
I mean, if you walk around and you just kind of whatever, man, it's like, that's not interesting to me.
I was struck actually, since I've known you, that you've been like that about everything, because
Yeah.
a lot of people, especially when they have some kind of attention, they go the opposite.
What do you mean?
They don't want to have an opinion just because they don't want to bum anybody out.
Yeah. Well, you know, I was with you. I mean, when I was a kid, and when I say kid, I mean like, you know, teenager years.
I even mean like 23.
Yeah.
Just like so fun. I'm so slow
Sure.
growing up.
There was just a certain point where I decided, consciously or otherwise, I honestly don't know how it happened, but I just decided it didn't do any good to be an asshole. You know what I mean? It just,
Yeah.
And like, cause I used to be, you can ask Em, she loves telling people how angry and shitty I was before we met. And
you're only punishing yourself.
Right.
Like the shit talk even, I mean, it just brushes off somebody else, but that sticks with, you have to live with the things you say and the
Right.
things you think.
yeah, yes, exactly.
It tortures yourself.
It does. And so I don't know, a few years ago, it's like it was like kind of like the light switch with the music thing. And it was just like, if I'm going to open my mouth, I need to be able to back everything I say. You know, it's like, you don't want to look back. If you read a transcript of things you said, like, I got to be at least halfway behind everything I've said. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so what that's done, because I am an opinionated person, I have a lot of gut reactions to stuff. I got to think about it a little bit before I open up and like actually express it, you know? And so, you know, I like to, if I'm going to say something negative, you know, and this sounds like some like Pollyanna bullshit, but it's like, if I'm going to say something negative, I like to anchor it or balance it out with something positive, right?
Okay.
So like a band, this girl last night, good example. She goes, well, how do you feel about this band? And I said, I really don't like the way so-and-so sings. I just don't. I think his melodies suck. They're not good. However, that boy plays the guitar, and that band live is so much fun. You know what I mean? And it's like, they are so successful, and they're so good at what they do, and that is awesome, you know?
Yeah.
But I still think he sucks at singing. You know, that doesn't change
Yeah.
anything. Like, you know, you talk about like the small band of things that
You could like.
Right. And
Yeah.
it's like, I like that part of what they do, but
Yeah.
I'm not going to listen to that band in the car.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Do you worry about now, especially with like how gossipy and how easily connected like people are, that like you say something that like pisses somebody off or
Yeah.
bumps somebody out, even if it's accidentally,
Yeah.
that it's like on Twitter or something, and it's just like this negative,
Yeah.
you know,
Low key, I have one friend who,
it'll always be written like Jack Senff from Midwest Pen Pals
Yeah.
says this thing.
yeah, I've said a few things to like people about this one person, and it's never about them as a person. I don't really like the music they make, but they're my friend. I like them a lot, and I would love to see, you know, like when I see them, it's always great. But it's like, you don't have to like everything. You don't have to like your friend's band, right? It's like just because I don't listen to Knucklepuck doesn't mean just because I don't really like Knucklepuck doesn't mean I'm not going to go see them. Doesn't mean I'm not going to go say, hey, that was a great set. Because it was a great set. They kill it, you know?
Yeah.
And also, it doesn't fucking matter if Jack Senff doesn't like Knucklepuck. They have hundreds and hundreds and thousands of people. Like, their shit's in Hot Topic. And
I guess people care for some reason. I don't know. It's so weird.
yeah, it is. But I think about it for my music. You know, like, if someone doesn't fuck with Boy Rex, that, you know, they want to say that you just sound like Ben Gibbard. You know, so what is some cheap criticism? that I don't care. Like, that's
Really?
fine. You know what I mean? It's like,
it bums me out. It's like
Yeah.
it's why you ask like why I haven't done it for so long. It's
Yeah.
like, it's something related to that. It's
Yeah.
like it's too close to me.
Dude, you just got to believe in yourself, man. Again, that's
Yeah, you have.
It's like,
Yeah.
I believe in myself 110%, and not in some like egotistical, like when I go to a show, I don't give a shit if there's 10 people there or 100,000 people there. It's like, I'm going to play the best I possibly can every single night. I'm going to write the best song I possibly can in that moment, and I got to believe in it. And if I don't, I'm not going to do it. It's a waste of time. I'm fucking 26 years old, and I'm not, I can't be Boy Rex when I'm 50. I mean, maybe I can. If shit pops off, fuck, I'll be Boy Rex till I'm 100. But it's like, I feel like there's a small, period of time in which this is okay, in which I can just give everything I possibly have to this thing.
Yeah.
And I'm going to make the most of it. I mean, when we talked last year, Nick, I thought I was dying. Like, I thought I was physically dying every single day. That's what I wrote Better Vision about. And it was this terrifying existential thing, right?
From what?
It's so lame. I had some like esophageal. It started with like, I think it's called a hiatal hernia.
Oh, but you were like manifesting physical symptoms.
Oh, 100,
okay.
Yeah. And I mean, it was all anxiety based.
Yeah.
And I'm also not one of those people who wants to like exploit anxiety and depression and all that shit. But I have it like everyone's kind of bummed out. Everyone gets stressed out about shit.
Do you think let's put a pin in what you're saying. I don't want to forget it. But do you think that I was literally just the episode that came out like 5 seconds ago, we were talking about this. Like, sometimes I feel like every single person is like suffering so much.
Yeah.
It's like unbelievable.
But that's what makes you creative to some degree. It's like
Is it, or is it just like what I worry about is like our culture has moved in like such a destructive direction that.
Well, okay,
that's
so
how people feel. No.
So I mean, as a sober person, as a 26-year-old straight edge man, boy, whatever I am, I don't medicate. I don't self-medicate. So I don't have these escapes that a lot of people do, and I'm not trying to paint with some broad brushstroke, but in my life, I've noticed that most people deal with their problems through drinking, through weed, through drugs, you know what I mean? And I don't have that. Sometimes it would be cool. You know what I mean? I've never been tempted, like, actually, but like that idea of like, I could go easily escape. Some people are single so they can be on Tinder all the time. And, there's this whole like, it's escapism. I mean, that's what it is. And people ease their suffering in different ways. And I'm not saying it's all that, but a lot of the times in our age group, that's what I notice people are doing. They're going out, they're losing themselves, and it's how can I forget about what's going on? For me, that shit is always there. I'm always stressed out. I'm always neurotic about something.
Yeah.
And so I just got to deal with it. I got to get over it. And I don't know.
I can only drink or do substances when I'm feeling good, because if I'm feeling bad,
it's destructive.
It makes me feel terrible.
Well, also,
like if I smoke weed, I just feel like I'm marinating in my depression and anxiety.
Yeah.
I'll do it when I'm happy because it's like, let's celebrate. I feel like life is like there's something to give thanks to, and that's my way of like,
definitely.
It's like a ceremonial. Like,
okay. Yeah.
I'm so happy to feel good right now.
Sure. I mean, you talk about societally, are we promoting suffering? You know what I mean? Like, is it part of every day? And yes, it is. And I think that gets exploited. I think that you talk about like prescription medication a lot. Even food. You know what I mean? Like,
definitely
people.
Food.
Yeah, they sell food to sad people. It's like,
well, they sell to sell something, you need to create the desire for it. And to create the desire for it, you need to create a hole in somebody.
Right.
So we have a lot of very powerful forces trying to bore holes in you.
Yeah.
So you can fill them with whatever shit they're selling, whether it's like Christianity or consumerism or fast food.
It serves a purpose.
Or Budweiser. I mean, whatever it is they're selling, like they need to like convince you that like, hey, Jack, you're empty. Why don't you fill it up with X?
Or alternatively, there are things that are like, hey, like, you're happy, and look how happy the people on this billboard are. You know why they're so happy? Because they're drinking this. So if you're happy right now, do that, and you're going to be even happier. You know what I mean? It's
I think it's you're sad, and if you want to be happy.
Oh no, that's definitely. But I'm just saying, like, you can also look at it from the same side, right? It's like they're exploiting emotions.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if it's a positive one or a negative one. That's how they're selling stuff. I mean, we're not saying anything unique or interesting here, but it's the truth. It's the truth.
Yeah.
I don't know,
but I'm trying to think. I got lost in it. I guess what I was mostly fascinated is like it's like you doubled down. Mm-hmm. I think that's awesome. I mean, like that's super, like personally inspirational to me. Like no joke. Yeah. Like I really have learned so much doing these conversations, how people do stuff. And like, this is a great example, like to, believe in yourself. I mean, again, it sounds so cheesy. It sounds cheesy, but it's like it's an actual cheesy,
but
thing.
It's like, fuck. I have most of my friends are like chronic sufferers, you know what I mean? And it's like they wallow and they just they have all these problems, and like I'm here for them, and like I want to talk about it but I got my own shit too. It's just about how do you talk about it? How do you think about it? How do you deal with it? I think ultimately how do you deal with it is the most important. Yeah. And
how do you deal with it?
I don't know. I eat a lot of food. No, I'm kidding. I mean, I'm not kidding, but no. So like I had a college class, a program at Evergreen. We don't have classes. There are these programs. They're like these umbrella programs. So like, you know, you take one program and it's called, I don't know, Pan Flutes in the Woods. And in Pan Flutes in the Woods, you might read a certain amount of authors. You might also have some math in there. You know, it's like this all encompassing thing. And so for the whole quarter, that's what you do, is this one program. And I had a program, it kind of sucked. It was one of my least favorite. However, we were sitting outside of the classroom one day, and someone was like, well, what do you want to do? And I said, oh, you know, I think I want to be a writer, and I want to be a musician. You know, these are two things I want to do. And this person wasn't my friend. They weren't sure, you know, there was no padding, anything. They just go, well, you can only really be one, right? You know, they were like, to be really successful, you can't do other things. And I get defensive. No, I didn't get like defensive to them, but internally, it was like the walls went up, and it was like, no, you can be a writer and a musician. You know what I mean? And fuck that shit. That shit has sat with me, and I think about it all the time. And there was a conscious point, where I just went, okay, I'm going to do music. I'm always going to be a writer. I mean, you're not a writer. You know what I mean? It's like in my music, there's a lot of literary component. You know, the components, the lyrics, I think are decent, and they're based in, you know, poetry and doing, I don't know, saying good shit, right?
Caring about it.
Speaking well. You know, a lot of bands pander and they write dog shit lyrics, and it's gross and I hate it. But you know, anyway, it's like I decided I can't write a novel right now because I don't have time, because I got to write the LP3, you know, or I guess LP2. I don't like when people call their albums that. I think it's this thing where even like small bands who no one cares about, they do it. They're like LP1, LP2. Have you seen that? Do you see that on the internet?
I don't see that.
Yeah, it's like,
there's a new wave of this. Really makes me feel old, but just I'm old enough now that things have like very much changed since like what I was trying to do.
Yeah,
and like DIY music is so much more established. Mm-hmm. People are way more, I mean, it's kind of good. I think it's probably the music is better because people take it more seriously. Mm-hmm. But like there's so many more avenues for like real success that people take it like really serious.
Oh, definitely.
And it's like a very realistic chance that you're 19 and like people really care about your music.
Yep.
In a way that I'm not sure 10 years ago. I guess it still happened, but it didn't feel like as much.
It was
of
different.
A thing.
I like to look at it as like almost like there's I don't know, like an overhead lamp, right, or a spotlight of some kind. And 10 years ago, for me anyway, that light was over like Newfound Glory.
Yes,
it was like that sort of band, like alternative music, AP Magazine. Like that's how you made money, right? Like you could be in a band like that and get signed to like Victory Records or something, and you made it. But as the years went on, you know, it's like that lamp, that headlight, whatever the fuck it is above us, has slowly started shifting over. And so now like this weird, what we consider DIY, punk, emo, whatever kind of music, it's now financially viable. And that's a weird thing to say out loud, because again, when I was a kid, and if we talked about this last time, I'm sorry, but you know, it's like you wrote something and you fucking released that shit the day it was done on MySpace, and you had a MediaFire link for it. You didn't make money. You didn't care about money.
Yeah.
You went to Kinko's and made your CDs and shit. And in a lot of ways, it's still like that. But now there's a very
people are way smarter.
They're way smarter. There's so many more services you can use. The label I work with right now, they're called Near Mint, and it's just two dudes. It's Corey Purvis and James Cassar. who just were so incredibly awesome with Better Vision. But Better Vision is hands and away the most professional thing I've ever done. And that's just two dudes. And it's very DIY. You know what I mean? It's still 100% what it was when I was a kid. They're just not going to Kinko's making the CDs.
They're way savvier.
Right. They're way savvier. And guess what? Like, I mean, we're not making any money, but it's like, we're not probably going to lose money, you know? And it's like, and it sounds, I mean, shit, I think some of these songs could be on a college radio somewhere and sound like not out of place in terms of quality, right?
Yeah, I think that's actually ultimately what it is. Mm-hmm. We began, I got off it, we're talking about like recording equipment and stuff, and it's like this piece that I was talking about buying. I mean, it's expensive, but it's $800 for something that's like professionally.
Yeah.
You put the right mics in, have good players, like your shit's going to sound good. And it's like that has really empowered. It's just flipped everything.
Right. That's taken precedence. I mean, anymore, and this isn't like some pretentious statement, but it's like if someone's like, hey, check out my demo, or hey, listen to this. And if it's not that well recorded, Jack the human doesn't really care. It's kind of like,
it's so tough.
It's kind of like, because it's so easy to sound good these days. I mean, the worst band can sound real good if they have the right microphone and the right person pressing the dials. You know what I mean?
Well, chopping it up afterward. Really.
Yeah, totally.
That's why I wanted to do it live. That was my own like stupid punishing myself way of being like,
yeah,
it's stupid, but it's like, no, I'm not going to cheat.
Honestly, the cheating is cool though.
Well, it makes it, and really for somebody who is not, with somebody who's only as good as I am, I honestly need to cheat. But
totally,
that's another thing.
You mentioned earlier something about vocals and how they, what did you say? They become something, and like the more that you fuck with them, the less. What was it? Sincere? What was the word you used? You were talking about like the more you work on them.
Well, and the more that you're separated from what you're saying,
and
your message, and the more that like the stuff you're talking about didn't personally happen to you, unless you're like, there are truly special people that are able to just, I mean, those are the master writers who are able to inhabit somebody else's life where you can read it and just not.
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But I mean, those are very, I mean, that's
right. That's
like incredibly special person. Right. I think most people, to be able to be sincere, you have to be writing basically verbatim. Like,
right. I think sincerity comes from, it comes from the heart, you know, it's like, you can write. Most of my songs took place in the past tense, right? But I write them in the present because I think present tense is just much more engaging. That's some creative writing, college degree bullshit. But it's like, you know, all my songs are like the here and now. So when you listen to them, the lyrics are like, this is happening right now. And when I write them, they mean something. They always mean something. But it's like the more you sing them, the less you separate from that space and time that the song is about, right? But for me, the positive side is the more I sing a song, the more I like lock in on the melodies and the way it's sung, to the point where when I go back and listen to the album, it'll almost sound bad. Right. Bad is the wrong word, but it's like, that's not how this song goes, but really it is. You know what I mean? And that's interesting because I've never been in a position where I play music all the time, and so I record something and that's just kind of like what it is. You know, but now it's like I record something and it's like, okay, now it's going to become its own thing because I'm going to go play it 100 times.
You're talking to, like, this is hitting me so hard because I have been doing this where I just practice it over and over. Yeah, it's this bizarre, like, dual feeling of hearing my voice in my head and feeling like that's not me. It's also funny, especially with personal music, that you can say it so much that you forget. Like when I show it to somebody else, I forget like, oh, this might be me. Like I forget what I'm saying is like heavy. Yeah. Because I've said it so much, it doesn't even
definitely
matter. How did you go from screaming to being in singing?
Honestly, that's a whole, it's just my taste in music changed. You know
but I mean like just logistically, like how did you even, could you sing? How did you have the confidence to do it?
Okay. I mean, if you want to go way back, I used to sing in the church choir.
Oh, wow. So you knew, like you kind of knew.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how to sing, but like I can fake it. You know what I mean? To the point where like I think I'm decent at it. It's like I don't know how to do like real singing. Does that make sense? So I did church choir when I was a kid, like kid, not teenager, but like kid. And then when I was in 8th grade, I was in like honor choir in middle school. And, you know, we would do, like this kind of shit. I don't know what I'm looking at. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's what I was asked to do.
Yeah.
I was like, I mean, so crazy.
Yeah, I mean, like I get it. Like I understand the concept of it.
It's in Italian.
Yeah, but it's the whole thing, like that whole world of like proper training in any branch. I mean, singing, guitar, drums. I don't know how to do any of it, like for real. You know, it's all fake it till you make it.
Not many people do that. I feel it's definitely tough. Like what we were listening to right before, to go from that to like singing is like it's completely different.
Yeah, it is. I mean, also with my own bands. I mean, the other day I listened to that knola, the first EP we did called The Black Beach. Someone at a show the night before had talked about it. And I kind of went, oh yeah, I said thing. I don't even fucking remember what it was about, but I thought about it. I had no idea what those songs sounded like. I had no idea what the Black Beach was, and I listened to it, and it was like listening to a new band that I'd never heard of before, but it was me, and it was like I couldn't tell you what tuning those songs were in. I couldn't tell you anything about it, right? But. You know, because Boy Rex is like the present and it's what I'm doing, it's blah, blah, blah. It's like, I can hear the progression, right? And so it's like, oh, wow, I sounded like that 2 years ago. And now I sound like this, you know? And you can track that through everything I've done, right? You can start all the way back at my first band, Merchant Ships. Well, my first band is called We Are the Colossus, but that wasn't a real, I mean, whatever, you know what I mean? But you can go each band, you can hear me starting to do different things, you know, and do. And then I had this thing called Sailor Heart, which was just me. Sailor Heart is like the spiritual predecessor to Boy Rex.
And you were singing? I'm not sure I know that.
Yeah. I don't think it's good, but it's definitely like a really cool, like time capsule of Jack learning how to play guitar and recording it almost immediately. And there are some songs that are like, lyrically, it's very raw. It's very like, I moved to Seattle, everything sucks. You know, a lot of things that I really frown upon now in lyric writing, and like I would never write a song like I did then.
Yeah, sure.
But it's cool to hear, you know, like as a musician, as you know, you talk about the transition, it's like it's cool to hear that. And so I put on the Black Beach the other day, and it was like, oh, like I am, in my opinion, leaps and bounds different / quote better than I was then. But what's funny is that perception-wise, there are probably people who fuck way more with that kind of droney singing than the sort of more nuanced shit that I try to do now, you know?
What happened with the second knola, or the first like knola record? Like, so last year when we were talking...
To the rhythm?
Yeah, it had been done for a while, but it was just like on a weird...
It had been done the year before.
Yeah, and then it came out after.
It was weird. I mean...
What happened? Like...
Well, so like in the music world, you know, you write something, you record it, and then it's all dependent on the vinyl schedule.
Okay.
And so it didn't come out until last year because that's just how long it was going to take for the vinyl to come out.
Oh, and you don't want to put out the MP3s until the vinyl. Okay.
Apparently not. There's rules,
that's
man.
Smart, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it makes sense. I still like to put on a front that like it's frustrating and I don't understand it, but I mean, I get it.
That's when people will buy it, is when they get excited.
Right. You talk about the whole, like that record came out on Skeletal Lightning, which is my buddy Sean's label. And that's, I mean, I've been to his house. His house is Skeletal Lightning headquarters. It's so DIY, but because we waited for To the Rhythm to come out on vinyl, it all came out at once, and it was like professional. It was just like, you know, it was just like any other big band, except you couldn't find it in Target. You know what I mean? It's like, you know, day one, like listen on Spotify, listen on Bandcamp.
It was
also
real.
buy so it was like this real thing, but it's still all DIY. You know what I mean? But yeah, I don't know.
Was the response good?
It was fine. I mean, we just couldn't push it. It's because like I decided I wanted to do Boy Rex full time.
Yeah.
You know, there was this thing where, and it was never spoken about, and I might be totally wrong, but it's like when we started NOLA, the idea was kind of like this is going to be the band. You know, we're going to do this full time. We're going to try to like take over. Fucking hell yeah, right? And
it's a good band name, I think.
It is a good band name. NOLA is cool, and I love Joseph and I love Garrett, and To the Rhythm is solid. But you know, we got home and it was kind of like Garrett has a bigger band called Oliver Houston. At the time, Joseph was in Xerxes. I guess he's still in Xerxes. I mean, they had bigger bands that took priority, and I just made that that diving board jump, I'm afraid of diving, so that diving board cannonball into the murky whatever.
Yeah.
And it was like, sorry, I mean, I just like, I couldn't sit there with my thumb up my ass.
Yeah,
and,
just bad timing, I guess.
and like wait around for them to go on tour, you know? And so it was kind of like, okay, Boy Rex is like a direct result of me wanting to play music all the time.
Yeah.
And so when the NOLA record came out, I just put out the Blood Months. I was starting to write for Better Vision. You know, it's like I was all in, and I can't, and we wrote the NOLA songs together, but as the guitar player and the singer, it's like, I'm not going to commit. You know, there are certain people who are in multiple bands and they sound the exact fucking same. They sing the same. Their lyrics are the same. And I'm not going to do that. If I'm going to have multiple projects, there's got to be some difference. So if you listen to the Rhythm, the NOLA album, and then you listen to the Blood Months, there's a few similarities, but I consciously sing different on NOLA than I did on the other one. NOLA is definitely, I wanted to be the guy who quit Tiger's Jaw. His name's Adam. He sings like this, you know, like that's who I was like. That was my inspiration for that. And then Boy Rex is just its own thing, you know. I don't know. Do
you think you'll put out another record with them?
I would love to. Yeah, and we have a little talk about group. We have a group text. Okay. And the other day, Garrett sent us a thing, and he goes, "Hey, I have $36 in the PayPal from Bandcamp. Sending you each 12." It's like, okay, like, that's cool. And like, you know, every once in a while, Garrett will send a text, and he'll be like, you know, what's your schedule? Or, you know, you guys want to do something? And Joseph just opened up a restaurant. I don't know if it's like his restaurant, but like, he's definitely like, he opened a restaurant with some people, and Gary just got engaged, and he's at Oliver Houston, and he's into coffee, and I'm in San Diego on tour. You know what I mean? It's just kind of like timing wise, I don't know when it's
hard.
Right. Cause like I like, you know, we're talking about the next thing. It's like, I'm already 6 deep into the next one. And like in September, where I have a band put together, we're going to get together and go to a cabin in the woods and like write the next album.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah. This is like, that's what I want to do. So I was saying, I got this portable recorder, going to Richmond for 3 days. It was like a tiny taste, like my dream. And what I think is a good idea, steal this, or if this isn't a fucking new idea, but just dedicating 14 days, you know, basically half to write and rehearse, half to track. Yeah. And just no phones, no significant others. This is nobody who's not on the recording. Yeah.
That's the dream. I mean, that's 100% the dream.
But that's doable because it's like a tiny, this isn't like a huge commitment. And it's not even like, hey, if this sucks, nobody is even going to, this will be a funny thing on our iPhone that we show late at night or when we're driving to Plant Power. It doesn't have to be it doesn't have to be this big commitment. Yeah. For something like that, it's, you know, everybody chips in a couple $100 and get an Airbnb. So even if it's a lame suburb somewhere,
no, it's I love the idea of what's the word, like artistic constraints, right? So giving yourself parameters.
Yes, I love that too.
The NOLA record, we weren't necessarily phoneless and in a remote area, but we wrote to the rhythm in 7 days.
Yes, that's awesome.
I mean, I took much longer time on the lyrics. But like musically, we wrote it in 7 days, and then we tracked the drums the next day.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Wild. I mean, it was a wild thing. And you know what? It's cool. That record wouldn't be the way it is had we not done it.
Yeah. It shows you also how unnecessary some of the... When you make something, it's so easy to get over cute with it. And it just, I mean, sometimes you make it better, but most of the time, all you're doing is just spending time on something that wasn't worth. If it's not good instantly, then it doesn't work.
Exactly. You know right away. Yes. It's like you talk about the hot take thing. It's like your gut will tell you right away.
It's good or not?
Does this rip or does it not rip? And like, personally, I believe that you should go to the studio with like, ideally like 95% of the record in the back ready to go, but I strongly wholeheartedly believe in a 5% wiggle room of like, let's see what happens while we're here. And some of the coolest shit I've ever done, that I think I've done that's cool, is because I was like, hold on, let me run this. It's usually vocally. I'm a vocalist first. I love singing. That sounds so stupid. I don't love singing, but in the studio, being able to like create harmonies and shit, I just think that it's so cool because I don't understand how it happens. Like when I sing, I'll get like the bass melodies down, you know, how the song should go, but like all the harmonies and all like again, the stuff I think is cool, I don't think it. Just I do it on the spot. I go run it. I'm gonna sing over the top, and we'll see what happens.
Like the background vocals.
Yeah,
you make up when you're there.
100%. I never fucking had that shit planned out, and so it's like, and so that I just think that what do you call it, like studio magic or something? It's so cool. Like,
yeah.
And instrumentally too. So on Better Vision, I worked with a guy named Matt Rifler. Fuck. It's either Rifler or Rifler. And he corrected me like
cupboard.
Day 4. Yeah, seriously, like day 4 or 5. He's like, but you know it's this. And I went, yeah, I didn't fucking know it was that. And so now to this day, I don't know. But Matt is, 100% like the boy. Like he is an incredible producer, engineer. He's like the package. I never want to work with anyone else. And we had 7 days to record, 5 days to record Better Vision, and it was just like go. There was we didn't have the time or the money for downtime, right? It was in a beautiful studio. It was awesome. It was so cool. But like, yeah, there was a lot of times where Matt would be like, no, try this, and I would try it. I wouldn't hit it exactly how he heard it, but it would be like a in between. It'd be like what I wanted and what he wanted in one, and it would be like, cool, book it, we're done, go to the next thing.
Yeah,
and it's like, I think a record lives and breathes by that kind of shit. You know what I mean? It's like if you come in with the whole thing just perfectly, like you said, you can be too cute with it. You can spend too much time fine tuning. I think bands who spend months and months and months on a record, I think you're just wasting time. You could have put out 2 albums and toured 6 times in that same amount of time that you were jerking off in your garage. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, I just think time is fucking precious, man. It's so short.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's hard. Do you feel like the reception of Better Vision has been good?
Yeah. Although honestly, it's a weird thing.
How do you judge it? With like the internet and stuff? It's so abstract. Like
I get texts from the Near Mint guys, and it'll be like, "We've sold this many records," and it's so small compared to like what I know my contemporaries are selling. And there's this flash of like, oh no. But then I think I don't really give a shit. Better Vision's literally the best thing that I can do right now. Not right now. I'm 6 deep into the new one and they rock. But at the time on May 19th and that shit came out, or rather January or whatever, when I finished it, it was like, this shit is tight. It is the best thing I can possibly do. I don't give a fuck if I sell 1 record or 0 records. This is the best thing Jack Senff the Human has ever made, right? And so apples to whatever, it's like, it's fine. People like it. Enough people have told me it's good that critically it's cool. But again, I'm on to the next thing. You know what I mean?
Does it affect your writing process or whatever when you hear stuff like sales? That's so...
I don't know.
It's so heavy. Does that make you feel like maybe I don't think I'm part of that club yet. It's like, you have a band, like we were talking about Pine Grove. Pine Grove's fucking making, and they're doing it right now. I have a friend who works, I don't really know what they do. They're wild, but they're like in the industry or whatever. And he was like, he looked up Pine Grove record sales, right? Whether that number is true or not, it was big. They're not doing like fuck Drake numbers or anything, but they're, wow. You know what I mean? So no, I don't really care because I'm not Pine Grove yet. I'm not in that class of bands where it matters how many records you sell. I just want people to hear my music, and I just want to play it. I just want to do it. I personally want to write the best shit I can write. Yeah. I just wonder, I asked the question because I wonder what, it's like we were talking about when you do it over and over, it's like you lose all objectivity, and it's just difficult to know, like, is this good? Sometimes with music, I start to feel like, is this even a song? Is, these parts, do these even go together at all?
Yeah.
Because it just begins to sound like nothing, so I just wonder how, and I have such what I'm doing is like not even close to a real thing. So I just wonder what it's like when it's like there's expectations and stuff.
For the listeners at home, it is a very real thing that you're doing. It is super cool. It's badass what you're doing. So you can go ahead and sell it a little stronger than it's nothing. But
I'm saying nobody can, like, there are literally 0 expectations.
Right. Yeah.
If I put it out or if I don't put it out, the world doesn't care. If you just stopped playing music, there's a real amount of people that would be like, "What? I want you to make music."
Yeah, that's probably true.
There's expectation.
Every year, the things that I've done become incrementally more important to other people, right? And so, I'm not going to name drop other bands, but bigger bands, it's like if they quit making music, people would be like lots of people would be like, what's going on? If I quit making music today, there would be a handful of people. But if I keep working, if I keep doing it, if I come back to San Diego next year and we talk again, it's like
I'm gonna be in a real studio then.
I can't wait. More people are gonna care. And then I don't know. It's a weird thing, man. The whole like idea of like legacy and what you leave behind and importance. I mean, there's such a small attention span in this industry. I mean, any fucking industry, any art. But if you're creating something and you're trying to sell it, commodify what you do, there is such a small window of time that you have to really push it and sell it. And if you're not out there touring, if you're not out there making sponsored Facebook posts, people don't care.
Yeah.
I have the just truly wonderful benefit of like having a built-in set of people who liked my screamo bands, and so they will always at least give me one part of their ear and go, okay, that's pretty tight. You know what I mean? And that's so fucking cool. I'm so grateful for that. But, I have to try to like aim for the fences, right? And I have to try to like make that small amount of people a bigger amount of people. And so it's this whole idea of how do you become successful? So you talk and so I don't know, man. It's a fucking weird thing because you ask about album sales and it's like, there's a part of me that's like, oh, we sold 25 pre-orders. That fucking sucks, right? I think it may be in a little more than 25, but I'm gonna be honest, it wasn't a lot. They were like, we're hoping for 100. 100 would be sick. And I thought, we can easily do 100. This is the best thing I've ever done. These songs are so cool. And we landed 1 or 2 streams, right? In this whole bullshit, like you have to do single premieres, right? And you have to try to like hook up with bigger
like blogs.
Yeah, blogs are no, if you're on a blog, that doesn't matter. It's got to be on like legitimate sites, like news sites, content generating sites.
Like the Fader or something like the Fader.
Fader, AV Club, Pitchfork,
and so I don't know any of this.
It's dog shit. And there's a whole fucking hierarchy, right? Of like,
who decides that?
I don't know.
I feel like that's where. But we were talking about kind of like management and stuff.
Uh-huh.
I feel like that is where those people become instrumental.
Yeah, no, it is, and like it's. I mean, it's a lot about who you know. Sometimes it's about how good you are. I'm going to use the word sometimes because I think a lot of bands that get fucking NPR full streams are dog shit.
Yeah. Well, no. See, I don't think that. I think you have to be a certain level. Mm-hmm. You can't be terrible.
Yeah.
But you have to have the other stuff too. You have to be sexy.
Yeah.
And sexy, depending on your audience, could mean very different.
I don't know. Yes and no. I think it's some kind of magic formula. I think you work. It's like half work, half luck. And like,
yes, that too. Yeah.
I mean, Jesus, you can probably say that about music through the generations, right? But as someone who is consciously part of this quote industry and trying as hard as he possibly can to quote make it, right? Like, I want to pay off my student loans with Boy Rex. That's I'm not going to pretend like this is like a DIY garage band. No. I want to be a professional musician, right? And so I have to give a shit about where my songs premiere. When this started a year ago, almost like a couple months after our conversation, it was the end of the summer. It was right before we moved to Traverse City. I was sitting on Peggy, my mother-in-law's, her like lawn chair, beach chair that's on the deck of her house. And I was sitting out there and I sent a text message to James from Near Mint. And I said, I want to get the NPR full stream. Like that's because we had just started talking about the album. I mean, I didn't know James at all. I hardly knew Corey. And I just was like, I was up front. I hadn't even written the fucking album yet. I had parts and ideas. And I was like, I want to shoot for the goddamn stars, right? I want the full, because to me, I mean, I guess there are technically bigger premieres or whatever, but NPR is like the dream because I love NPR. What hipster doesn't love NPR? But like, I back it.
I hate it.
Okay,
I'm going on the right. I said I wouldn't be negative, but I'll hate it because fine. I think it's bullshit what they promote and what they don't.
Okay, yeah. I guess I just look at it as like, I don't know. It's one of those gut things. I can't tell. I like a lot of the shit they produce. I like the idea of a free radio. I don't know. Yeah. Of whatever.
I won't fight it.
No, that's fine. But
that's more a gut thing of just like.
No, I back it.
They just seem like it's trendy stuff.
It is super trendy, yeah.
And it's just like, it's soulless. I don't think the people that find...
Did you listen to S-Town?
The people that find stuff from sources like that
yeah.
don't actually care about it. and they won't stick with you.
Yeah.
They like it when it's a cool thing, when it's a hashtag.
Yeah.
And in 18 months, they're going to be on to the next hashtag, whether it's cereal or whether it's X
Yeah.
sexy band,
Sure.
or whether it's whatever.
You can take 18 months and turn that into 18 fucking minutes.
And I just think
days.
that's such.
It's like, yeah.
It's very shallow.
Oh, it sucks.
Even though it's like intellectual, it's not.
Yeah.
It's not real.
Okay, well, I like
It's
NPR,
people putting
so
on like a.
right.
Okay, sorry.
No,
I'll let it keep shitting on.
No. I'm just saying. I mean, yes, it's the same thing,
but it's important for sure. It's important
right for all those things. And so I sat there and I said, I want to put it on this thing. I won't say it again because it apparently offends you. But I want to get the full stream on that. And it came time to pitch, and apparently no one even opened our emails. And Nick, I think lyrically it's not as personal as some of my other stuff. It's a little more metaphoric. It's a little more. It's good. I'm proud of it, but it's not quite as personal as I like to be. But objectively, it's my best work, right? And record what Matt did, the engineer I was telling you, the producer. I mean, it sounds so good. My dad plays trumpet, and it sounds so good. Pat, the new drummer. I mean, it is everything I could want it to be. It sounds like something that would be on NPR or on any X thing, right? And they wouldn't open our emails, and it's why? Because I haven't been on tour for 2 years, because I don't get booked by this one person, because Near Mint isn't this label. I mean, I don't know what it is.
You also don't have like a. My take is they lead with a band's story and they follow with a band's music, and at least what I see with organizations like that, you have an interesting story. Whether it's like, I was born on a hot air balloon, and for the first 6 years of my life, I was on a hot air, whatever, whatever way you want to sell yourself as like a unique person that deserves more attention than other people.
It sucks because like my story is just as interesting as so-and-so's story. It's just not quite as like buzzworthy. It's not, you can't write a cool headline. You know what I mean? It's
no hot air balloons.
Right. No hot air. Yeah. And it's like, but I think what I have to say is just as important as what someone else has to say. And I also think, you talk about believing in yourself. I don't think I'm better than anybody, but I think that some of the stuff I do has more integrity. It's all about integrity. You know what I mean? And people will disagree, and they should. I encourage that. I want them to shit on Boyer X as much as they can. But it's like, I don't think I'm making bad music, right? Like, I know bad music, and I know good music. You know what I mean? And I know I'm not making the best. In terms of other, maybe like if you threw my name amongst a whole bunch of names, I know it's not the best yet, but it's fucking gonna be. And the fact that NPR didn't want to debut Better Vision, like it sucked.
It's like fuel. I see it.
Yeah, and it just seriously, it's like, then guess, well, fuck you, NPR. The next album's gonna be great, and you're gonna. I probably want that one either, but you know what? One of these days, I'm gonna get the premiere that I should, because I want it, and there's no reason I shouldn't be able to have it. If X band, Z band can do it, I can do it too, because. I don't know. What's the point of selling yourself short? What's the point of saying like, oh, I'm going to put it out on Bandcamp? It's like, I don't know.
No, it's inspirational because that's me. The voice that you just made is like the exact Nick Jackson. That's like if my soul had a voice, it would talk exactly like that. It's just fear. That's all it is. It's fear because it's saying like, I'm going to set it up for failure. So when it fails, I'm going to blame it on that and not.
Oh, fuck it, dude. Take chances. I don't give a shit.
What does the rest of your tour look like?
So this one has about 10 days, 9 days maybe. It's just quick. It's like El Centro, Phoenix, Arizona, Albuquerque, a couple days in Missouri, 1 day in Illinois, and then I'm home for 5 days. And then I immediately drive to Burlington, Vermont, and I get in a van with my friend Tyler Daniel Bean and his band, and we're going to do Canada, we're going to do the Midwest, we're going to do East Coast, and then I have 4 days off, and then I get back in my van, and I do the rest of the East Coast, a lot of the South, 4 or 5 days in Florida. I come home. I'm getting married 2 weeks after I get home.
Are you driving alone for that last leg?
Part of it, and then my best friend Mason's gonna, I think, take a train out, and I'm gonna pick him up. He's gonna road dog.
Nice. What do you do when you're alone driving those hours?
Never done it. I'm excited.
What's that gonna look like?
I don't know, probably listen to a lot of NPR podcasts, but
mine.
Yeah, I will. No. There are legitimately. I want to listen to the one where you talk to your girlfriend for the first time in a lot of years. You send it to me, and I've been busy. You know what I mean?
That was so long ago at this point.
I know, but to me, like
you got a lot of Nick Jackson to listen to. Hours and hours and hours, 150 hours.
You know, honestly, I've never, like I keep saying, I've never been in a position where I can tour full time, where I can play music full time, and it has been. This is week 5 or 6 of the first 7 weeks that I'm a full-time musician, and it is hands and away the coolest, most rewarding thing I've ever done. I get to hang out with my best friend in the world every single day, my partner, my lover, my whatever, and we just get to go do whatever the hell we want.
And you're doing it. You're going for it. I find that inspirational because I'm very much not that human.
I paid my rent and one of my first student loan payments with Boy Rex. And you know what? That's so small in the grand scheme. That's peanuts compared.
It's huge.
But yeah, it's huge. Yeah. I thought I was going to be on food stamps.
Yeah.
Literally 2 weeks before.
Or out. That's what I would assume.
Right.
Like just I have to work at Starbucks now.
Yeah. It was like that wasn't an option to me. It's not an option to me. It's like every day I wake up, and conscious or not, I ask myself, "Is this what you want?" And if I wake up and it says no, I'm going to be a writer, or I'm gonna go get a job, or you know what I mean? It's like every day I ask myself that. And every day it feels good. Last night I played to 15 people. And I'm 26 years old, and it was in a driveway, and a lot of musicians that I know would probably scoff at that. But you know what? It was awesome. It was so much fun.
And those people were stoked.
I don't give a shit. It was a good set. I did okay. My banter was good. I'm terrified. Banter is so scary. I don't know. Last time
it's important though. It's really important. It separates people.
I used to look at the drums, like when I played screamo music. I used to look at the drums. You know, kind of like. But whatever, and I thought that was so cool, and now as Boy Rex, as the fucking ringleader, I gotta talk, I gotta say shit, and this tour I figured it out. I feel good. It feels good to play music every night.
Will you ever do a screamo band again?
This is I'm friends again with everybody in William Bonney. We weren't not friends. I mean, one of the guys I was definitely not friends with, not by my choice, but we kind of had a falling out a few years ago, and like. Ethan just had a kid, and I definitely kicked him out of NOLA. He was originally in NOLA, and then that was a thing that I never resolved. I try not to do shitty things anymore. I try to be a good person, but every once in a while, something slips through the cracks, and I accidentally suck, you know? And
it's hard also, I mean, when you're doing music or art, even though that sounds pretentious or whatever, it's like, it's not the same as like going into a tech startup. It's like very personal and like... I don't know.
It's got to start with heart, man. If you don't,
it's easy to fuck up because
it's tumultuous and it's like very tangible. You know what I mean? It's like this thing. It's not sterile. It's not cold. And if it is, fuck you. You shouldn't be playing music. You know what I mean?
It's like having a bunch of nude photos. That's what I imagine. And it's like how you want to deal with those. You know? And it's like if you act weird, if you fuck up, it's because like you have this weird, embarrassing thing.
That's funny.
But anyway,
going back to so okay, just real quick. I know we're kind of getting to the end. I didn't want to talk about my old bands when I went on tour because
they're different.
They're different. It's not what I'm trying to do. A lot of that shit is I don't know who that person who wrote those songs. That's not me.
Yeah, and what I have realized is the audience. I think, especially how you're talking, it's gonna be different.
Oh, totally. It's 100% different. And like, but it's awesome when people. But for a long time, I was not about it. I didn't want to talk to you about merchant ships. I didn't want to talk to you about fucking Nick Stutzman, whatever it is. I think Better Vision is the best thing I've ever done. I'm proud of it. Let's talk about those bands now because I feel like I've finally done something that is better than William Bonney. You know what I mean? And like, and I'm sure most William Bonney fans will disagree. They don't probably fuck with my sensitive shit now, but Jack the Human, I've done something better.
But if you're gonna do a screamo band, it would be William Bonney again. You wouldn't
100% William Bonney riffs.
You wouldn't just get a new set of people.
No, I don't like screamo music. I have no time to start a screamo band. But if those dudes want to get together with me and play those songs again, I'm in. I will start drinking Throat Coat, and I'll go on long drives in the farms around Traverse City, and I will learn how to scream again, and we will play those songs because that was one of the best times of my life. And it's weird, at the time, one of the worst times. That was like one of the worst periods of my life.
Well, and you hear it out there. It's up to people listening to this to convince everybody to get together and do it.
I don't think it's to take a lot of convincing. It's kind of a low-key thing. I don't think it's
the logistics of it.
It's the logistics because like Michael, the like main guitar player, he's like a professional full-time journalist. Like he writes like serious articles for like the Detroit newspaper and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
He told me the other day he gets 1 week off a year, which like, how are we going to go on
It's
tour?
like the 14-day thing. It's like even that's too much.
Right. Josh, I think would probably be down. He's kind of a wandering nomad musician, and he's just always down. Ethan had a kid, but like Ethan's one of the most, literally the most agreeable people I've ever met. I personally kicked him out of NOLA, right? And it was sad. And it was hard because Ethan is a lovely, wonderful person. And he was one of my best friends. And it was like, it just didn't work out at the time. 'Cause like I said, at the time, I thought NOLA was going to be like it full time all the time, whatever. And I didn't talk to Ethan for almost 2 years. And I saw he came to a Boy Rex album release show. I hadn't seen him, talk to him in 2 years. He smiled, he hugged me, and we went to my dad's house like we were fucking 18 years old again. He like took a nap on the couch. It was like we didn't skip a beat, and it was so cool. And it's like I'm so fortunate to have friends like that, you know, who like you don't see them for years and years, and then you see them, and it's like that's Ethan.
Yeah, it's important.
And so and our drummer Mike, who's not on any of the recordings, but like is probably the William Bonney drummer. He's down. Awesome. So it's like it really,
sounds like it could happen.
It does, and I would love to make it happen. I mean. I think that would be so cool. I think it would be fun to go play those songs again because I know that I'm Boy Rex and I know that I'm killing it.
And people would be stoked.
Oh yeah, and people would be stoked. And like, I don't know, you know what I mean? I just didn't want that to like
yeah,
the
I
whole,
got you.
You know.
I now that I know you and stuff, I completely understand.
It's about personal growth.
Yeah, it's hard though when you're just like a person on the internet that's just streaming songs. Mm-hmm. You just don't see the people in a band as a real human, and you don't realize they're just, I mean, whatever fucking issues you like, they don't have time off from work, they don't have money to whatever. My guitar tuner broke, and like I don't have like, or just like little tiny things can like make a band not happen.
Right,
it's so impossible
because you have a stack of nude photos. You know what I mean? It's exactly. Like it's like a very personal, real thing, and like. It's about, you know, think about what I think people need to do is they need to think about if you were in a family with your best friends, right? Or a family or a team or any sort of group, right? Could you be with them every single day? Could you make every major decision with those people? And then think about, like, let's say, think about your friend Brian. What does Brian do that really annoys you? Could you experience that and swallow it for 30 days in a row?
Yeah.
And if the answer is anywhere close to no, then like that's why bands break up.
Well,
you know?
Also what's tough is let that person speak for you.
Yeah. Right.
You have to like everything they do, you did, and vice versa.
Right.
That's what really begins to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
we're burning up in here. Last thing, what's in the new Boy Rex going to be like?
New Boy Rex is going to be.
Do you have it? Is it too early?
No, fuck no. I have an album title. I'm not going to tell you it, but I actually have the next 2 album titles. One time I saw a post about Kanye West, and like years ago, Kanye West, like he had like I don't know where he wrote it, where it was, but it was like a sheet, and it was like what he was going to call his albums, and outside of one, he is stuck to that list.
Yeah.
And
it's important. This is something I believe. Great artists, they have entire universes. This is stupid MFA stuff, but it's like there's a glacier. The artist sees the entire glacier. They only give you the little tip that's above the water.
Totally.
But you need the entire thing to give it this realistic. The audience can't hear what I'm doing, but you know, to make it visceral and real, you have to know all of that.
Yeah. And I definitely know it, and I know awesome. Exactly where I want to go. I know exactly what I want to do. I have found within the last few months, actually, the people that I want to do it with. I've made a couple just fantastic friends who I've invited to like be in Boy Rex. I'm still going to write the songs, but this album, I'm definitely going to open it up to like I said, we're going to go do the Bon Iver in the Woods thing. And
that's so awesome.
Oh, it's so cool. It's so stupid, but it's so cool. Like it's only going to be like 5 days, and it's the week before I get married. It's at the end of a 4-month-long tour, but I think that's the best time. You know what I mean? It's like, because I have a lot of the songs written now. I'm going to get them fine-tuned, send them the demos, and we're going to get together for 5 days and do like 12-hour days in the woods and just like write the fucking album. And it's going to be...
Where at?
In the Upper Peninsula of Michigan.
Okay. You're going to write it, but you're not going to record it there.
No, we'll probably...
Go to the studio.
Because it all comes back to I don't have fucking money to record an album right now, but I do...
not the way that you would want to.
Yeah.
Like if you got one of those pieces and did it yourself, like you could.
Demos, yes. Well, no. We're going to record nice demos. Like it will be recorded, but like the album itself won't be probably recorded until the beginning of next year. And then I'm gonna, you know, if Near Mint wants to do it, we'll talk about it. if I can find someone bigger to do it, I would like that. You know, it's kind of like my ambitions they're 5 years in the making. You know what I mean? A lot of people think about tomorrow. I'm thinking about tomorrow 5 years from now. You know, so it's like,
what's the best way for somebody to follow you? Like, you know, if they want to know your new music, what is the hub?
I love Instagram.
Okay.
At BoyRX Music. I'm pretty active on it. I don't fuck with Twitter. I don't care about Snapchat. Facebook, I'll update for big things. But Instagram, I'm on like every single day. I use the story function just because so if you want to fucking see what I'm eating, if you want to see the coffee that I'm drinking, please follow at BoyRX Music. It's the only social media I like, even as I have a personal one too that I like a lot. They're like journals, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Until our society collapses, that's where you can find out.
Well, thank you so much. This was great.
Yeah, I'll see you next year.
Yeah, okay, bye.
I can hear a heartbeat pounding over thunder. Nobody believes in the spell that I'm under. Standing in the back of the crowd, pretend I'm one of them, but they don't hear the sound when I look over my shoulder. I grow weak and I get colder, and I know I'm being followed by a shadow meant to swallow up. When rain comes, the crowd moves on, past the sea of hands waving from the hill to the rows of chairs waiting to be filled. And I'm anywhere but right here. Go for change the world. How am I to do anything at all? I can barely move, I can barely crawl. And I'm anywhere but right here. Let's celebrate the last 4 years and applaud our youth and wonder. Everyone looks to the future, still stuck on the spell I'm under. I walk out across the stage. I smile